We are all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the king of podcasts.
Surprising enough, this is the first time I'm going to be talking about Diddy here on Depraved and Debaucherous. I actually reported on him and some of his allegations by the singer Cassie, who he was dating for about 11 years off and on the Broadcasters podcast. That's my companion series, which is episode 304 if you want to listen back to what happened there. Played a lot of clips of the allegations being said about Diddy back then. But yeah, we're going to talk about him tonight and all the things that are going on with that, because there are multiple stories that are coming across. Raids in Los Angeles and Miami in his mansions. We look at all the actual accusations being put out there, because Diddy, if all is true, which I have no doubt they're not true, but I think he's done a lot of shit. And he is not just he's not defending himself. He decided to ditch. He decided to save himself and take himself to some place where he cannot be extradited. Why on earth would you get in your private plane immediately after your homes are raided and go directly to the Cape Verde Islands, right? You go take a stop for gas in Antigua and move along. What are we doing here? I mean, Diddy's got the money. He's a billionaire. You know, he's made a lot of money off the backs of everyone else that he screwed over. Let's just be honest with that there. I am not a fan of Diddy. Not at all. I can't listen to his music anymore. It's hard for me to hear any music of his that he produced or he wasn't associated with when it comes to Bad Boy Entertainment. Very hard to listen to his music now because I have a disdain for this guy. Pretty obvious. And so to get the bulk of what happened yesterday in the stories, I want to take a story that comes out of Channel 7 News in Miami, who they do an excellent job when it comes to this, but also because of the fact that they happen to be having the story in Miami. Sheldon Fox, who's with 7 News, actually put out a story on this. I believe this is on their 19 broadcast from tonight. And here it is. Let me go ahead and play it for you.
New video tonight provided by TMZ showing us inside Sean P. Diddy Combs' L.A. home after it was stormed and searched by federal agents. The night team Sheldon Fox is live near the music mogul's Star Island home here on Miami Beach, which was also raided by the feds. Sheldon.
Day 2 of Diddy drama, Belkis. It's been quiet all day and night here on Star Island outside of his home. But a look inside one of his other homes indicates life could really be a mess.
Diddy's digs don't look so good, at least not in these images of his LA home. The footage provided by TMZ shows trashed rooms of Sean P. Diddy Combs' California mansion, deconstructed computers, messy ransacked desks, furniture, cabinets, and open safes and drawers. The feds even burrowed through Diddy's bathrooms.
Now, here's the thing. When you think about where they were raiding, obviously they looked at the entire house. Electronics, looking for surveillance, looking for any hidden cameras, anything that was kind of hidden out of any footage that he might have done, any kind of sexcapades he might have done, anything in the bathrooms of any kind of evidence he might have had, you know, panties in the drawer, whatever, underwear in the drawer of somebody else's that's not his. You know, who knows what's in there? And, you know, the same thing for the pantry, like what drugs are going on, other things like that. And yeah, man, they pulled out like, you know, almost like SWAT team out here in LA and Miami to raid his home. Here's more from Sheldon Fox.
Was the result of this Homeland Security investigation's raid.
Now, why was it the Department of Homeland Security? Boggles the mind. This is not FBI. This is not local authorities. I mean, Department of Homeland Security. How serious is this? I mean, was it because of the fact he was going to be a flight risk anyway? Because that was the other part we noticed all about that. But let's go ahead and go to more.
Raid of the mogul's Holmby Hills area home Monday, which went down as this raid happened here in South Florida. 7 News cameras caught the Star Island surprise federal visit from the ground and air. And a neighbor shot this video Monday, 30 minutes into the raid, showing a man led out of the home in handcuffs, though he's not thought to have been arrested.
Now, the other thing was that apparently whoever was in either home, which in the LA home was Justin and King Combs, his sons, and then whoever this other security person, whatever this bodyguard, whatever kind of henchman that Diddy had over at this other house in Miami, these people were all arrested. We don't know what happened to them after that.
The two raids linked to a federal investigation out of New York. Combs has not been charged with the crime and wasn't at either home Monday afternoon, but at Miami Opelika Executive Airport, where feds intercepted his plane and where this member of his entourage was arrested. Following a search of his bags, Miami-Dade police, while working with Homeland Security investigations agents, arrested Brendan Paul on drug possession charges. Paul's been named as Diddy's drug mule in at least one of several civil suits against Diddy, who's been accused of sex trafficking, sex assault, rape, and other wrongdoing.
On men and women. It's been mostly men we've heard of from accusations. We're going to run through those in a minute. But yes, just including men. And one of them is a man right now with a $30 million lawsuit about the fact that him, Diddy, and Cuba Gooding Jr. both assaulted, groped, raped Rodney Jones. I mean, what in the world is going on here? Rodney Little Rod Jones, who apparently produced a love album for Diddy. What kind of mindset was Diddy going on when he did that, huh?
Diddy and his legal team deny it all. There was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. There is no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated, said attorney Aaron Dyer.
They had to present a probable cause statement before a magistrate judge. So they had to produce some evidence that they were going to find, evidence of criminal activity in his homes.
Now, that's the other part, too. This was just not something random. Now, we've heard some accusations, some conspiracy theories about, well, there's something going on here because, like, how is it that, these raids are happening and did he get tipped off before he was able to leave? Like, why was it he was already getting into a private jet and on the way out, knowing about this? And then the fact that the raids happen, you might have seen evidence being taken out, but we don't know if anything could have been planted in. Because we don't know if this is something where, there's already some conspiracy theorists out there already saying, well, he's going to be the scapegoat for a big sex trafficking ring, and he's going to be the one that's going to be the scapegoat. Well, no matter what, fine if he's the scapegoat. If he's the one that's going to be accused of all this, I think he's probably done more than enough to people to warrant some kind of arrest and to see him actually do something where he gets convicted. Something here. And he looks guilty as sin as he leaves on his private plane and gets out of there. Gets out of Dodge.
His Star Island home Tuesday seemed back to normal. No more feds, just private security, and one or two people seen at and around the property. At night,
you want to talk to 7 News about what's been going on here?
It seemed just as quiet and uneventful.
Wild couple of days, huh?
Even his life for Diddy these days seems anything but.
Quiet and uneventful tonight here in Star Island. Last night we had federal vehicles out here. Tonight it is a black Mercedes SUV belonging to one of his security personnel members. Outside of that, there is no unusual activity on this island. Diddy has not spoken publicly since these raids. His whereabouts tonight are unknown. We're live on Star Island in Miami Beach. Sheldon Fox, 7 News Night Team.
The best of the best. Let me tell you what. So the story is being said, it's quiet now. Whatever they did, no crime scene tape, nothing like that, just a raid. But they went in. We don't know what kind of warrants they were, but there was enough to get a search warrant on both. Arrests made. But the main person, Diddy, nowhere to be found. As of right now on this broadcast, I don't see anything that says that we have located where he is. So there are various allegations so far. We just talked about Rodney Little Rod Jones. It's the biggest one right now. There is him and a Jane Doe. The Jane Doe just happened late in December of this last year. She's accusing Diddy of sex trafficking and gang raping her in 2008. And she was 17 years old at the time, flown to New York City by Diddy. And this girl says Diddy and his friends forced themselves onto her, gave her copious amounts of drugs and alcohol. And she was a vulnerable high school teenager and became a part of a sex trafficking scheme that involved plying her with drugs and alcohol and transporting her by private jet to New York City, where she was gang raped by 3 individual defendants at Mr. Combs' studio. Wow. Diddy tries to say to us, oh, enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I've sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals for looking for a quick payday. So and we just heard accusation from one young lady. We don't know what other young women were part of this as well that could also come up about this. We talked about Rodney Little Rod Jones, and the accusation they said about him was, he was drugged, threatened, and sexually assaulted for more than a year, living with Diddy to do the Love album from September 22 to November 23. He recorded audio of the rapper partaking in a serious illegal activity with friends and colleagues, and says he was sexually harassed and assaulted by Diddy in the artist's Florida, L.A., New York homes, and a yacht Diddy rented in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And that Jones, throughout the whole time, was constantly unsolicited and unauthorized groping and touching of his anus. Didn't matter. $30 million lawsuit. And that Cuba Gooding Jr. was also part of it on that same yacht. That Cuba Gooding Jr. also harassed sexually and assaulted Jones on the yacht that Diddy rented. And then also that Diddy passed off Jones to Gooding while leaving him alone together in the studio on the boat. And that Cuba Gooding Jr. touched, groped, fondled his legs, his upper inner thighs, near his groin, small of his back, near his buttocks, and his shoulders. And Diddy failed to step in and stop. I don't know, but this is all this is not good. You have a musician that was doing a music video, was in a music video of his from 1991, and she was drugged, sexually assaulted, and abused. This goes back again 30 years. This is when he's working at Uptown Records. This is before Bad Boy comes into play. Then there's Cassie. Then there's Aubrey O'Day of Danity Kane. There's Kimora Lee Simmons. There's Gina Huna, or known as Virginia V, and where she was talking about how Diddy would stomp on her stomach, really hard, taking the wind out of her breath. And she couldn't breathe. He kept hitting me, and I was pleading to him, can you just stop? I can't breathe. All this here. Constant issues going on that there's not being much more said about it. But this is serious stuff, and Diddy leaving. Around 3 o'clock on Monday, he was just walking around at Opa-locka Airport, the executive airport where his private plane was, just walking around, getting ready to go ahead and move. But then, of course, his drug mule got arrested before they go. And he's outside of a customs office. He's just walking around by his lonesome. So Diddy wasn't cuffed. And TMZ says it actually checks with what we've heard about the situation so far. Sources with direct knowledge tell us he's not under arrest at this point, and more importantly, he is not, obviously isn't on the run either. I don't know about that. Not sure what to think about this altogether. But we know there's several lawsuits we already mentioned on before. The sex trafficking is one of the biggest ones right there. That is scary about what's going to be happening with that. What's going on here? Not good for him. And people are making the point of, when they're all talking about this anyway, one of the serious things to talk about as well is that Diddy doesn't even look like he's all well dressed. He just throw on some casual clothes, throw on some sweatpants, throw on a large shirt and shoes, and that's it. He basically must be leaving with nothing on him, getting on his plane and getting the fuck out. That's what he did. LA Times with an expansive story. Homeland Security Investigations in New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI, LA, Miami, and local law enforcement partners. That's what the HSI spokesperson said in a statement about the story, and I'm taking the story from LA Times. That talks about the whole story here. So 2 of Combs' sons were briefly detained as agents searched at mansion and footage captured by Fox 11 Los Angeles. Now, the other thing, too, is that his sons apparently were also caught up in this, too. with the Little Rod Jones federal lawsuit against Combs that his son, Justin Dior Combs, alleged that he was the victim of constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and sexual touching by the elder Combs and was uncomfortable with Mr. Combs' advances. When he expressed his complaints to Diddy's chief of staff, the lawsuit claims he was told, Sean will be Sean. They go on to write about that, Combs tried to groom him into engaging with sex with a fellow producer. And Jones further alleged that Combs provided him with footage of people involved in sexual activity at Combs' house, which Jones believed was procured through hidden cameras throughout the properties. And Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. And this treasure trove of evidence he has in his possession. Mr. Combs believes he is above the law and untouchable, according to the lawsuit being said here. And there's a lot of things where he's been caught up with the law anyway, but he's never really had anything happen to him. He's been basically Teflon. 1999, charged with assaulting an Interscope Records executive, pleaded guilty to harassment. Later that year, the shooting in Manhattan nightclub where Combs was partying with then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez and bad boy artist Shine. Shine took the rap for it and was sentenced to 10 years in prison for first-degree assault in the shooting. That was not a good deal for Shine. 2003, former bad boy president sued Combs, alleging that in 1986 his former partner threatened him with baseball bat in hand into signing over his shares of the company. Combs was arrested after allegedly attacking his son's UCLA football strength and conditioning coach with a kettlebell weight. Never convicted. So much more here. And he just keeps getting away with all this shit. Incredible. So what are we supposed to think about all this? The fact that he left. The fact that, even the fact that the Hollywood rags, the TMZs of the world, they want to make the point that, he hasn't been convicted at all. Well, let's not do anything here about, protecting the guy, okay, and what's going on with him. Let's not worry about that part. By the way, when it comes to Diddy in the press, I'm looking right now on the regular Hollywood rags I would normally be using for the Broadcasters podcast. They're not talking about it. I see a story from the Hollywood Reporter. Billboard talked about it. But really, they're not taking too much out of there. Are they going to protect the guy? Is that what they're going to do? Really? What does he have on Hollywood? What does he have on everybody? His lawyer speaks out. That's all we're getting the story about as of late. But other than that, so much more. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going to happen, So we'll leave it all there and see what happens. We'll keep an eye on this and see if anything worse comes from it. The show is going to be a little bit short tonight. It's just that I'm feeling a little under the weather. Some allergies got me kicked up. You could probably hear it in my voice, but anyway. So there's going to be another episode of Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, titled Breaking the Silence. It's going to launch April 7th on Investigation Discovery and then go on Max. So they have another episode ready to go. More from Drake Bell about what happened to him, which I should go make the point about this right now. He couldn't say too much. And I'm not sure if it was just protecting about the fact that he can't really say too much because of what kind of, explosive shit could happen as to what he would say about Brian Peck or Dan Schneider. But he didn't put Dan Schneider under the bus. It was Brian Peck. But you could tell that Drake Bell, I don't know if he ever really opened up that much about what happened to him to any therapists. But he's not over it. He's obviously not over it at all. And it's a shame to see that coming from him. But it's a shame. So the new episode will detail the onset treatment of child actors. Continuing on with that, there will be more about in the story where they're going to have a current state of the child stars in these kind of shows, where a new interviewee of the All That cast member, Shane Lyons, will be interviewed by Soledad O'Brien for an important discussion about the industry then and now. So you'll get that going on for you as well. I don't know. They're probably just adding a little more what they can because it's gotten very popular so far. The show's already been watched for the first 4 episodes by 16 million viewers across ID Investigation Discovery and streamers Max and Discovery Plus since the first 2 episodes premiered on March 17th and March 18th. Largest audience of unscripted series since the launch of Max in May. How about that? I do want to take one other story that I had that popped up that I thought was really interesting, because this was the story I was going to talk about without, if it weren't for Diddy. I was going to talk about the real simpletons out there on social media, namely Casandra, and him having the South African R&B artist Tyler on his feed, and how not to go ahead and hit on a girl. And I got to play this for you real quick. So check this out for yourselves.
So I can't do Zoe, so my only option is Tyler. Would you like to go on a date with me?
Are you asking me for real?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
What you mean? Why not?
Don't do that.
I'm serious. Whenever you get some free time, would you like to go on a date with me?
You can't do that. On a whole live thing.
He's not even looking at her when he says it.
Why not? It's true or dare.
But we're friends though.
You right.
Yeah, we're friends.
You right. Next one.
You can't do that. I mean, you can't expect to go and have her be interested in you at all like that. Plus, I mean, for what you've been doing out there, and who Casandra is out there for the audience, he thinks his popularity, maybe the kind of money he makes, he can kind of get away with that. And she was just going to go right in with it. Now, he probably wasn't even thinking about what the implications would be for Tyler if she said yes. Come on. So, yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting, but a very simple thing not to do that should be pointed across very importantly. Let's just make that point clear. So, I don't know. Don't be like Casandra. Don't do what he does. Don't do what he does, because he doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to like meeting females. First of all, a woman like her, like Tyler's out of his league, okay? And, you shouldn't find other women to go after, because you're not going to get her. But you also should not be doing what Diddy did, which is be very depraved and extremely debaucherous and just downright criminal. All right, that's it. We'll talk to you next time.